We got a nice email the other day, courtesy of our friend Phil Luciano, by the way. Phil is the one that kind of steered us this direction, to talk to our guest, Kathryn Miles. She is a professor. She is also the author of a new book called Adventures with Ari, and a former Peorian, now lives in Maine. Kate, good morning.
Hey, great to be back.
Do you remember, did you and Phil go way back, by the way?
We go back to when I was 16 years old, and he was sort of my babysitter at the Journal-Star.
You were a cub reporter at the Journal-Star at 16, by the way. How'd you pull that off?
I think my high school didn't want to deal with me, so they decided it was easier to ship me off and make me a journalist's problem.
Where did you go to high school?
Metamora High School.
Metamora High School, the Redbirds. Oh, that's why you asked
Fighting
about that earlier.
Redbirds.
Fighting Redbirds. And what did you do? What captured my attention the other day?
Well, you went from the structure of school to under Phil's guidance.
Yeah, that's a big swing.
I would say loose guidance from across the room more than anything.
You caught my attention when you sent an email. You said one of the first things that you remember writing about was the pumpkin chunkin contest, or chuckin, or whatever they call it, out in Morton. That warmed my heart as soon as I knew you did that.
I actually covered the National Pumpkin Chunkin in Delaware, which is where the Morton team was, and that was an event of all events.
That is a great way for a kid to start their journalistic career right there. Well, tell us what you're doing now. You're in Maine. You're a professor. You and your husband, Greg, are professors at what school?
I teach at Unity College, which is in Unity, Maine, and he teaches at Husson, which is just up the road. And in your spare time, have time to compile really, I've read about half of it. I haven't finished it yet. But A Puppy, a Leash, and Our Year Outdoors is the subtitle of Adventures with Ari, and a beautiful picture of the two of you, your four-legged friend. But what's interesting is you came to being a dog person kind of from a back way. Tell that story. Right. Well, when Greg and I started dating, he had a grouchy old beagle named Kinch, and they had a great relationship.
Dan and I love beagles. We love beagles.
So, Kinch had the passenger seat of the car and everything else like that.
You were sitting in the back.
Right, exactly. So I was kind of an intrusion, and I called him my step beagle. So
yeah.
But then he died, and I just found myself devastated, just absolutely devastated, and just found myself, after I was done sort of mourning for this dog who I didn't even know I loved that much, I just found myself really wanting another dog.
And so you go to the shelter. I just did a fundraiser the other day, a couple weeks ago, for the big shelter down in Tazewell County. And everybody that comes to those kind of things, they know what that feeling's like. My very first dog that I remember actually belonged to my sister, 1964, the Tazewell County Animal Shelter, Duchess. You go to you and Greg go, right? Are you intent on getting a new dog that day?
No, we're just looking. And
yeah,
in fact,
I don't
in the
think
book,
that happens, does it?
Right. No, and I wrote, we didn't have any dog stuff at home that day even, because we just thought we were looking, and we met this blue-eyed little nervous puppy. She had never been inside a house her entire life, and we took her home, and she was just a train wreck inside. Everything just scared her to death. And but outside she was fantastic, and so we would take these long walks outside, and all of a sudden I realized I've been trying so hard to teach this dog how to live in my house, and meanwhile this dog can teach me a lot about how to be outside in the world.
The dog was trying to get you to go outside.
I think so.
So were you an outdoors person, not much of an outdoors person prior to this?
A little bit. We grew up in the Midwest, my brother and I, and my folks would take us out to state parks. We'd go hiking and things like that. And I wasn't sort of down and dirty, in the mud, in the deer guts kind of outdoors girl. I was sort of
just a park girl.
Right, yeah.
Well, what did Ari do then? How did this relationship start with the two of you?
It was mostly just sort of being aware of what the dog was aware of, because there was a puppy on a leash attached to me, and so what she looked at, I looked at, and as things developed, the basic premise was I would let her dictate what we were interested in outside, and then I would kind of do the homework behind it to find out the science.
Well, oftentimes I would think that would be poop.
Yeah,
you would be
there's a lot of poop.
You would be
other animals. There's deer poop, turkey poop.
I was like, wow, Kate knows a lot more about animal poop than anybody we know.
Fox poop. My next book is going to be all about fox poop.
You should just name it Fox Poop. If you pay, I will buy a case of Fox Poop books. Kathryn Miles is here. The name of the book is Adventures with Ari. We'll tell you where she'll be tomorrow to sell and sign that book. What was there ever a remarkable moment where you thought, oh my gosh, I mean, you found things, you saw things, but was there ever a divine moment or just oh my gosh, this is an amazing thing that's just happened with me and this dog.
There was actually. We were out. We had just met with a Native American herbalist who's a Passamaquoddy Indian, and he had taken us on this walk to sort of see the woods. And I was trying to try it out on this path that was just sort of dirty, and there was trash, and you could hear a race car track in the distance. And I thought, this is the most unnatural place in the world. And as we were walking along, Ari stopped, and so I stopped, and all of a sudden this gigantic, mature, bald eagle just rose out of the stream about 5 feet in front of us, and it just looked like it was 60 feet wide. And we just stood there stunned for I don't know how long, and it was just one of those things. It was amazing.
Right there in the middle of what you had determined was not nature.
Right.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Kate Miles is here. Kathryn Miles. The name of the book is Adventures with Ari. Tomorrow she'll be reading and signing her book tomorrow at I Know You Like a Book up in Peoria Heights on Prospect at 5 o'clock. There was a line right at the beginning of the book that made me laugh. In fact, I even sent something to you. I thought you thought I was nuts when I did it. About taking off your collar. It was like on the first couple of pages. Now I've lost it.
Loosening the collar from your throat. That's
yes.
Walt Whitman.
That's loosening a collar. Is that Walt Whitman?
That is Walt Whitman.
I was giving it to you.
I'll take it.
Loosening the collar from your throat. That's what a dog teaches you how to do. That's a good analogy. To relax a little bit. It's been years. I'm getting scarily close to owning a dog. My family is lobbying hard. Well, I shouldn't say that. My children are lobbying hard. My wife is probably still not lobbying. But there is something remarkable that happens when a dog enters your life in one form or another, especially when you have a relationship with your dog. Do you live in the country? Do you live in a wooded area? I mean, is nature outside your door?
Well, we do. We live in the woods, but I think nature is outside everybody's door. I mean, we make this distinction between nature and culture, but I'm in downtown Peoria right now, and there's nature all around us here. We just choose
you
to.
You can't get more natural than these two guys right here.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm looking at two guys who have obviously loosened the collars from their shirts too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, we don't.
I don't really have collars.
I haven't had a collar in years.
Yeah.
What does your husband think? Your husband, Greg. What does he think about your relationship with this dog? Because if you just joined us, your relationship with him started with his dog. What was that dog's name?
Kinch.
And Kinch passes, and then a new dog comes on, and it feels like to me that the buddy is you and the dog, not Greg and the dog. Is he the odd man out?
No.
Okay.
I think we're a happy threesome.
Okay.
In fact, we're a happy fivesome because we have two rescue cats too. So it's a crowded
So
little
he doesn't
house.
feel jealous all of a sudden.
I don't think he feels jealous.
I bet he does.
No.
I bet he does.
You think he does?
The cats are standing at the door going, "Don't bring any ticks in."
Yeah, you do not come in here. Yeah. I think.
Where did Ari come from?
Ari,
the name?
Yeah.
The name Ari is half husky, half Korean Jindo. And so we wanted a dog that we wanted a name that spoke to that Korean heritage. So we wrote a bunch of words down on a sheet of paper and asked a Korean student to translate them for us, and none of them really worked. But one did, and it was Bungari Janggab, which means glove without fingers. She has one mitten on her hand. So
Oh, really?
Ari actually means without in Korean.
Say the whole name again.
Bungari Janggab.
Horrible to call out to your dog.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Doesn't work.
I would... Dog! Get over here.
And
Ari.
the nameplate, when you get the little tag with the names on it, Bungari Janggab was like 3 feet long.
Yeah,
She was dragging it on the ground.
The pet owners, I think Dan and I had this stat the other day, in America we will spend somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 billion on our pets, even in a down economy. Sometimes I am critical of that because I think we go crazy. I think we do crazy things. Your dog does not want to dress up like Robin Hood. It does not.
Right.
Does not. And what do you think of that? Because it seems to me the relationship that you have with your dog is the one I remember as a kid having, and that is we're master dog or we're friends and we go out and we do things.
Right. I think people get so attached to their dogs. It's a love affair, really, in a way. Not
Sure.
creepy love affair.
Yeah. No, it is. It is.
And I think that people want to find ways to articulate that, and one way they do that is they buy really expensive foam beds, and they buy, diamond-studded collars and things like that. I mean, that's not really my style, but I understand for some people that's their outward demonstration of affection.
My daughter's that way. I have an older daughter who has two little dogs, and she buys them all kinds of things. She buys
I
them
thought the
Christmas
iPods
gifts.
were a little over the top.
They can't even work them. They can't even work them.
No,
They
because
put
their
little
paws don't. Yeah.
The reaction to the book so far has been good, huh?
It has been good. We've gotten some good publicity. We're thrilled to be back in Central Illinois. You know, kind of my homeland here. And
now, you are you on a book tour, or are you just back visiting family?
Both.
On this?
Both.
Yeah.
I'm on a book tour, and when I saw that it could coincide